Hey class, hope you're doing well. This is your third weekly drawing. Even though we're past week 3, I gave you guys a couple weeks at the beginning of the semester without drawings. Interesting piece, it's actually a lithograph, which is a type of printmaking that you print on stone. And so part of the quality of it is because of the type of wax crayon, or oil crayon I should say, that the artist uses to make the marks. Lithography is a really cool art form, and it's made in reverse or a mirror and then printed, so it's pretty inversion, I guess is the best word. So it always has a sort of quality to it that's almost scratchy, but that's because of the mark making with the oil. It kind of has a quality to it, like you can tell that someone worked in a way where they could see it a different way. People use a lot of tracing paper. I'm probably not making a lot of sense when I say see it a different way. It's almost as if it would work as an image flipped in the mirror or seen just the way it is because of the way they designed it, I guess is what I'm saying. Max Beckmann, this is from a time when there had just been some revolutionary upheavals following Germany's defeat in World War I. And Berlin is a city of pretty disillusioned people, feeling pretty resigned to their fate, and nothing can seem to rouse them. The idea is that the rich are playing cards, attending the theater, and others are having hours of boredom inside their house. The poor people beg on the streets, sleeping in cramped quarters, and maybe occasionally enjoy distraction at a dive bar type of attitude and feeling. So there's a compression, an anguish sort of feeling in this. This is night, the night. He chronicled really many sides of the life in this new republic, and this definitely emphasizes a claustrophobic compression in this tight scene with multiple people. The way the architecture is compressing them at diagonals, and they're all close to each other. It's framed, but they're breaking out of the frame. You can see how he's using windows within windows that barely contain the figures. It's like he has layer upon layer, people in the foreground, foreshortening, leading back to the figure, a middle ground, and then way back here, more of these same cubicles. And it's like everything's off kilter. The page is straight, and then it gets off kilter all inside the design, which makes it interesting angles. You can see it has a lot of continuity to it. It moves your eye because it starts with you looking right at this face, and it's anguish in the face, and then you kind of notice the window and you move throughout the faces, and then it points you over here and you start moving along, and this hand breaks you back in, you see it, and look at these lines bring you back up into the image, and the angle direction of the lines kind of keep you in it. And so your eye gets lost back in this space, even deep space. So it's really well designed. He also did other pictures of himself alone and 3 self-portraits as part of this series. It's from a whole portfolio when he took a trip here. It's called the Berlin Rise, 1922. So he's showing these people, and then in the series he also shows himself as an outsider who's like observing this sort of discordant total feeling. And he conceived of this series as a sequel, or maybe he could say even a moral complement to his 1919 portfolio of post-war Berlin, which was called Hell. So he's definitely dealing with this series of works over and over again in the same place, dealing with this idea of war and tragedy. It's pretty intense subject matter, and I like the quality of his line. He uses polka dots and different things, textures built up. And he's not necessarily concerned with realistic proportions, but he has a naturalism. Like the baby almost feels like an adult. And this figure's face, it's all about the expression and the intensity of the experience, not about the realistic size of things. But it's naturalistic, we can tell what it is, so he uses little objects and he tilts them. They're not realistic ellipses. He can see the surface of things more than you would be able to. And he's using bits of shadow to draw our attention. This is supposed to be a light, but there's not a lot of light coming out of it, so that's an interesting combination. And hands play a really big role here. You can see faces, this face we can't see, and the hand reaching out. So it's a well-designed piece, playing with the edge of the paper and the margins and poking out from the frame within a frame. So I think there's a lot to look at here and study, and he's using the space really well. Deep space and overlap is how he's creating a lot of depth in his work, rather than realistic proportions. So spend some time drawing it. I think there's a lot of interesting things to investigate here, and you may decide you want to do this with a charcoal pencil if you have it, or the side of your pencil. Ink would also be interesting, but primarily pencil would be the best. So spend some time looking and thinking about this, but also just studying the way he makes his marks. As I said to you in many a comment about this, I want you to think about marking your paper and working as if you were this person in the way they mark and work. So what does that mean? Think about how does he do the marks, try to do them the same way, with the same kind of pressure and direction, so that when you're marking, you're getting his line quality. How does he do this white in there? He goes and lifts his pencil up and does it again. So you're trying to replicate through using the same style of marks. It means you have to think like he did when he made it. How does he get a clean line? He must have used a ruler, so if you have a ruler, do that. So by replicating, by trying to get a copy, a masterwork, you're having to think like the person who made it, and that'll help you develop more types of marks, different types of tones, ways of thinking that you don't have in your repertoire as artists and designers. So it's kind of one of the big purposes of this, as well as to study design. So take care, guys. I hope you're doing well, and I'll talk to you and interact with you soon, hopefully. Please feel free to reach out if you need help. Post in the boards and email me, and reach out pronto, different things. I have office hours, so talk to you guys soon.